There is this huge debate on whether feminism is dead or feminism is still alive, and what kind of people feminists should be, whether females themselves are very arrogant about it or males do not get the point, and those kinds of debates keep happening. Uh, I am lucky to have had friends who are very strong females, and there is no doubt that I love them a lot because they are who they are. And it is actually I would like to say it's a sexless thing. It doesn't matter whether they were females or males. I would still be good friends with them. But the bigger fact is just because they are females, their intuition and their femininity is a boon that I find in many circumstances where I myself find my wisdom lacking, because you just dare in and blast out, and instead of resolving things, we complicate them further. On that very provocative note, I welcome my guest today to the Values Workshop, Beena Koshy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bunty. Good morning, all.
Good morning. Uh, I have never seen you being sheepish or quote unquote womanly. के use your sex to get some favors in terms of यार आज नहीं हुआ या anything like that. You've just been a good professional at work, whatever little bit of work we've done together at any point. But instead of getting into that angle, first I want to ask you, what does it mean being a woman?
My God, this is such a in-depth global information that you're asking for, Bunty. I mean, this took me completely by surprise. I didn't. I
Yeah,
was
so
forgetting all the regular.
experiential, not what you read, not what you heard, but in your experience, you've been born a woman, you've been a woman all your life. While it might be an in-depth question, but there is limitation to your experience. So, good or bad, would you please share it with us?
So, I think I call ourselves to be a little lucky generation who were born before this word gender agnostic and all of these things started emanating. यानी हमको पता ही नहीं था कि हम लोग वो सब तब कर रहे थे 80s and 90s में, and of course people are now giving terms to it or whatever of that sort. So you're absolutely right, Bunty. Whether we were all working in a very highly creative and volatile industry like advertising industry, I don't think at any given point of time we were made aware of that you're a woman or you're a man or that sort. In fact, you're bang on when you say that a lot of intuitions, a lot of understanding of categories, a lot of understanding of market and consumers came by virtue of you being a woman, and you probably played that role at some point in time in your personal life. हमको वो भी पता नहीं था कि जो हम खुद पर्सनली एक्सपीरियंस कर रहे थे, हम खुद कंज्यूमर्स थे इस चीज़ के, मगर कभी कभार मीटिंग्स में रिसर्च में वो निकल जाता था, and we used to actually realize that there are people who understood because we were just born women and it just came naturally to us. So what it means to be a woman in this world, I think everything. It also means that I can be a man, to be very honest, but a man can't claim he can be a woman.
And that's deep.
Oh, okay.
Uh, okay, so I will contradict you there. There was this term called metrosexual sometime back,
Uh-huh.
doing the rounds, so which effectively meant that you were a little more sensitive and you were a little more uh, aware of the finer aspects of emotion. Uh, One interesting thing that I have just read a couple of days back is just because when a man does all of these things, it is seen as a big deal. That he takes care of his kids and does his work also. So hello, where is the greatness in that? Women have been doing that for ages now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, However, I have a problem with categorizing.
Uh-huh.
It tends to take away individuality very strongly.
Hmm.
Even if you're right 24 by 7, you can't be right. There will be aspects where you will be uh, a stupid woman. It's okay to be a stupid woman. What's the problem? I mean, nature, a stupid man. Anything. I'm saying it's got nothing to do with a woman or a man.
Hmm.
But वो tendencies जो हमारी inherent है, they take over. And if we
Hmm.
were this sensible, then we would be some kind of saints or evolved beings. We are not. We are
Hmm.
living in a world which is provoking us through various ways, through advertising and saying you are you have arrived and you wear this jeans and you'll be attractive to so many people, and you don't use this lipstick and you will look horrendous and whatever. So
Right,
this is being sold to us, and however clever we are, kabhi to yaar hamara jab when we are down, we this is going to hit us and we are going to react, and we may be negative at times or not up to the mark.
right.
So that individuality counts a lot for me in terms of when I'm dealing with
Hmm.
people. But do you think there is a merit to going deeper below the surface of these labels that we have, or you think labels are important? Because I've been told by women कि you don't know. तो फिर अब वो भी राइट है, अब उसका तो क्या ही करे. तो how do you, as a person that I look up to, who doesn't use this aspect of her life very strongly,
Right.
but is still every bit a woman. So how do you see this?
So, Bunty, for me, it works both ways. Yeah, there are some places where you are required to come out looking all very smart, and that happens a lot when you're professionally. And to that extent, I am completely on it for it, in fact, because it's almost like, even if you are a businessman or an entrepreneur, and even if you were like a $1 billion company or whatever, the investors look at you and say, is this person healthy and fit enough to run this company? And to that extent, appearances matter a hell lot. Yeah, and today's day and age, there are a lot of people who do their walks, their runs, their sleeps, and despite that, physically they may have some debilitating disease or whatever of that sort. So to that extent, if my understanding is, if you have too many people who are dependent on you, then you owe it to them and to your family and to your colleagues, that you keep yourself healthy, fit, and more importantly good looking, because that is expected. That is a norm, unfortunately. Today, if you don't look confident, or if you don't look good, then by virtue of it, you start with a little bit of a negative. It's not that that's going to matter, but वो हो जाता है. And unfortunately, that's a norm of the world. ये कोई नया नहीं है जो हमने create किया. But there are absolutely other places where you can be and sorry for the word, naked emotionally. And that is where their lipsticks and your jeans and your tops don't matter at all, because that's where you probably drop down your most weakest point. It may not be in front of people, it might be to your even in front of your pet, maybe. A pet understands your emotions far better. So I sometimes feel you'll be far more emotional with a pet, or your spouse, or your parents, or your siblings, or to that bestie. It can be, and that bestie can be a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. वहां पे तुम कितना भी मेकअप कर लो अपना फिजिकल एस्पेक्ट के लिए, your mental makeup will anyway fall down and come down. So depending on the scenario, I think that's how you. Now there was a time when people told me that I remember being fired by my boss in one of the when I was in an agency, and in front of two three people, the group, the team, and I was the head at that point of time of that group. And he, by virtue that he probably couldn't yell at a 2 or 3 year old account executive, he yelled at an account director or client sourcing director, which was me. He must have thought that, because she's 10, 12 years in the industry, she has a maturity to understand that this is not personal, it's professional. And he gave her dressing down. Yeah, the meeting finished, I ran into the woman's loo and I started crying. I burst out crying. Now one of my female colleagues actually happened to come to the washroom and hear me crying. She knocked, came out, I washed face, and she told me, what is it? And I just said, like, I was not prepared for it, and I started crying. She was probably half my age, and she told me that, just one piece of advice: don't let your guards down, don't cry in front of the bosses, it's not right, and all of that stuff. वो जमाने में वो सही था, मगर आज, if you tell me, this generation, this Gen Z has been very clearly told, you are expected to say what you feel right at that point in time to whoever is the authority out there, whether it is your own peer or colleague, or it is your boss. You're not supposed to hide your emotion. So that gap is very very different. Aaj agar, even if I fire, I in fact have to take the different turn now. I have to make sure that I don't make that person cry, because now that responsibility is again on me. So somebody else could got away with it, but not today. I'm at the receiving end again. So yeah, I think that's how life has changed, I guess. So there's nothing
Okay.
much I can do.
Um, Yet, let me go into a space where I get a better answer out of you, which is more vulnerable in this.
Yeah.
So, in a family setting
Huh.
where you are who you are, and you are the mother of your children, you are the wife to your husband, and you are the daughter of whoever. Uh, say you are cooking or doing something which is quote unquote seen as a feminine trait, and taking care of your family in a way that is traditionally understood as a female domain. So there, when these kind of things happen,
Hmm.
and well, you are a progressive woman by every other known factor. There is nothing like that. And you say something as simple as you cook something and you put in a lot of effort, and at the last moment there is a complete kind of disaster because all others have kind of conspired to do something. They've called for pizza, forgetting that you put in your entire day to cook one particular dish in a particular manner. They say, no, no, but we are in the mood for pizza, we are not giving you. And you really put your heart out there and you really feel cheated of your money. You've really given it like a woman can, perhaps. That kind of love can be only coming from a woman. Now, at that point of time, uh, how do you like there is no they will tell you, "Arey, but you're a professional, you understand sometimes things don't work out. You're going to give a one tight what nonsense." So how do you handle emotions in that category? Matlab, you are a woman, you are vulnerable in that moment, and everything about it is as feminine as it can get.
Hmm.
Now what? Where is the progressive part of it, and where is this whole flag bearing thing? And
Hmm.
nothing, money. So how do
Yeah.
you deal with a moment like that? And if anything like that has happened to you, a story that you would want to share would be nice.
It has happened, in fact, decades back, and you feel very hurt. Okay, more than cheated, you feel terribly hurt because you were really exhausted. If you knew there was an easy way out, you would have done it, but you actually wanted to make it like, something very special. And I remember doing this. In fact, we are, Malayalis, and Kerala and Mallu food is very loved. In fact, so I remember, having come home one day really late, and I said, let's do it, for a change. Let me cook something up, and I made fish curry and I made rice, and my in-laws were there, and the kids were there, and just made a chicken curry and all of that stuff. And then my spouse had to go out, and I had no clue about it. So I made everything, kept on the dining table for a change. Otherwise, normally we just take our plates and head off and sit anywhere and eat. And then he said, "No, I have to go out. I'm stepping out with my friends for a drink and a dinner or whatever." And I'm like, "Hey, I made all of this stuff. My office aake ye sab banaya karke." And he said, "But yeah, I didn't know you're going to cook, so I have to go any which ways." And he left. Okay, and at that point in time, I was very hurt. I was like, if I knew that, I would have made my own plans and I would also stepped out or gone out. It was my mother-in-law who actually caught me, saw me at that vulnerable moment, and she reprimanded her son because she knew she couldn't take sides, either sides. But she said, she's made something. Kam se kam ek roti to kha ke jao. Eat something at least, and she'll feel happy that she cooked for you and for all of us. And then you can go and meet your parents, friends, or whatever, wherever you're going. I was really surprised because mom herself was a working woman, and she probably realized what it is to come back home and feed a family, and and then sit down and probably go take a bath at 10:30, 11 in the night, and then kind of go. So he had a chapati and a curry and all of that stuff, but he went to his friend's place. But I thought that was very nice. It could have been a full blown fight, and on that day at home, I would have been angry. And my mother-in-law was a smarter one who actually, kind of very subtly, she actually moved this whole thing off. So I was like, wow, that's a learning.
Yes,
Like,
it is.
but I was hurt for that 10 minutes. When I heard that, I was hurt. I was angry. I probably wanted to take all the chicken curries and fish curries and put it down and say, to hell with it. And it just turned just like that. And mom actually said that one line. And I was like, oh, this is how you diffuse. So yeah.
Wonderful. And okay, this brings me to a very interesting aspect that is rarely spoken about. Do you agree or not? I have no clue. But so these are the finer, uh, subtler emotional states, both the negatives that you had and the diffusing one that your mother-in-law had at that point of time, and the fact that your husband didn't act like an idiot and said, "कि भाड़ में क्या मैं नहीं खाऊंगा एक रोटी भी." There are people who do that as well.
Yeah.
So I find there is obstinacy, which seems to be a more quote unquote male emotion.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just giving it a name, not necessarily. Obviously, I'm saying it can be a male emotion owned by a female.
Huh.
Uh,
Oh.
Whereas there is this delicate emotion like where you have to be humble. Like your mother-in-law was humble. She didn't put her foot down. And she
Hmm.
was also, she had given herself space. Maybe she already had, but she kind of empathized with you, but also empathized with his plans. Your meeting friends is also important.
Correct.
So she found a middle way, and this itself requires humility on everybody's parts that even you didn't create a ruckus, nothing doing. He can't do me a favor by having only one chapati. To hell
Yeah.
with him, I'm not giving him anything.
Yeah.
And I don't want any favors because that is obstinacy. Obviously, it is. But none of you acted like that, and the situation by itself was because all of you were mature about it in that moment.
But
This,
I took advantage of that because that allowed me to go out with my friends once in a while, and my husband had to sit at home with the kids and he had to take care. So I could easily go out with my friends.
well, what topic I decided today? Proud woman in a man's world. There is no better example than that. I should just change proud to clever. Wonderful, wonderful. Uh, on to a more sensitive topic. Uh, One would have thought in the present times, as we were growing, technology was helping us um, relieve ourselves of burdening things, and our lives are much more easier. So much is available at the click of a button. Uh, the divide between males and females would have become lesser, and we would start empathizing with each other's point of view a lot more.
Hmm.
Uh, well, if anything, we've gone back centuries in the last 20 years, I think, everywhere in the world, more or less. India specifically, a lot of it is happening where the amount of wrongs against women are reaching terrible lows, terrible lows in every way. And um, maybe it's just my timeline. People tell me you keep watching those things and algorithm keeps playing it up.
Right.
But still, there are so many things that are happening which are worrisome.
Right.
Today it is not a unknown thing to take care of your female kid more than your male kid because you are concerned, and you will always ensure, okay, who are the friends you are going out with, what are they doing, do they drink, do they smoke, are they like
Right.
this, are they like that. It wasn't in our time. I think you guys had a little more freedom because we were seemingly evolving at that point of time.
Right.
It's
Right.
gone back fairly quickly in the last couple of years.
Right.
As a woman, how do you see the problem, and is there a solution to it according to you?
Um, Bunty, it's no use giving a solution because the moment I give you a solution, the technology has changed. Yeah, and that solution becomes irrelevant, honestly speaking. You're absolutely right that technology be more being an enabler, it has today actually become a kind of a divider. And in a very simple term, if I knew I only had a landline or a phone and I didn't have a WhatsApp, maybe I would have made more effort to give you a call rather than sending you messages and thinking like I've done my job. मैंने बंटी को एक हैप्पी दिवाली बोल दिया तो बस ये साल का मेरा काम हो गया. Versus maybe you'd have taken an effort a little bit more to talk. But having said that, I think rather than being used by technology, we should see how we can use technology to our benefit. So let me give a very small example, and where you mentioned the fact that when your children go out today, you're a little bit more worried. A friend of mine did this with her daughters. They're both college-going daughters, and the elder one actually was stepping out for college socials, which was happening in the evening, in the night, and she said, "Put your track your iPhone, whatever that app is, or whatever that
Location mode on.
yeah, correct. Is on. She said, keep that on for the night. Okay. It's not that I don't believe you, I don't trust you. You may walk in at home at 11:30, 12, or you will come at 2:30 in the morning. Yeah. I just want to be doubly sure that, I know where exactly you are. And wherever you want to travel in the city, I'm okay with that. But your phone will let me know that, you came in, and it is not to fire you that you walked in at 2:30 in the morning. It's for my own personal satisfaction because she was going to go off to sleep at 11:30, 12 any which ways. And she said even if she walked in and she had the keys, I wanted to make sure that she was back home. So I think the mother used it brilliantly, and she said you will switch it off once you come back home, so I don't have to track you. I know once you're home, you're safe and sound. Then what you do with your phone is no concern of mine. So I think that was one very nice way that a mother actually was it the mom or the dad? I can't recollect, but they made their children aware that we are not here trying to ghost you or like to look at where you're going, but we want to make sure that you are safe and that kind of a thing. I think a lot of cabs today have the red button where you can, in case of an emergency, press it. um, so to that extent, if you use the technology in its right mode and not try to look at where your kids are, and I think a lot of people have become sensible. In fact, if anybody who's becoming foolish, I think it is the 50, 55, and 60 plus year old people, because they all are trying to get in and look very cool and be very happening by trying to use technology, and are getting mugged badly, in fact, on even a simple thing like a phone. So there's all this phishing, and they're losing money, and their social medias are being hacked. Is all because they don't understand the full technology of it, and therefore they're all trying to, mera grandson, meri beti, mera beta karta hai, so I need to do it, kind of a thing. They're panicking and trying to get into it, which I think is a very wrong way of jumping into it. So, honestly speaking, I think um, it is just use it as an enabler, but I know for sure that there are a lot of couples, there are a lot of families who are constantly on the phone, and who don't get out of it. Now, neither my husband nor have I put any kind of embargo on each other, but at least when we speak, we are speaking to each other on the face. It's not that we're looking on the phone at that point in time, but we are also equally culpable of having encouraged it. So you will have your children, we ourselves will be sitting in the room, and we both will be going through our own stuff and all of that things, and that by virtue of habit is now something that we can't stop doing. So my point is that accept it, and just move on in life and use it for whatever it's worth it for you. Don't jump too much into it is my understanding, क्योंकि
Okay.
मैंने बहुत कुछ मैंने डाउनलोड नहीं किया है, ये मुझे वो समझ में नहीं आती है, और फिर उसके बाद वो टेंशन रहता है कि यार ये सब डाल दिया फोन पे तो, like मेरे घर पे Alexa, somebody gifted me, okay, and I was very proud, and I said, hey Alexa, play this here. My children came, switched it off, pulled the plug, they removed the whole thing, and they said, no, there is no Alexa in this house that's going to come, because she will or he will track everything that's happening in our house, and then it will be a danger. They pose, and like Son Papadi being re-gifted in Diwali, I actually re-gifted that Alexa to another kid. I said, maybe it might be of some use to you, Papa. It's no use to me. So, yeah, that became the Son Papadi of my life, in fact, unfortunately.
Okay. Uh, I want to rephrase one part of that question to a little more subtler aspect. So while you talked about technology and how to handle it in today's times, I want to talk about the mind space of it. Do you
Mm,
also sit down with your kids and explain to them the dangers of not being mindful of where they are, what they are doing at some point of time if it is too late, and maybe a place where there are not enough people or whatever? Have you have you been talking, even if it's a simple thing, uh, like traveling? Be mindful instead of just being engrossed in your phone or whatever. You should know whether the route being taken is the regular route to your place. Because
mm,
very often it happens. Like even I have asked, it's got nothing to do with male or female. It's just basic sense के क्यों भाई आज ये रास्ता ले रहे हो?
mm.
सर ये थोड़ा shorter route दिखा रहा है. तो at least you're aware कि अच्छा ठीक है ये भी जाता है.
Yeah, correct.
And
You're
then
right.
be doubly alert in case he or she is not doing this. So, are there any talks like this that have happened, or have they ever spoken about it to you? How do they see it? How do you see it?
So this conversation probably happened 5, 8 years back. It's not now because my
Yes,
kids are
of course.
26 and 25 and 29 or whatever. I'm sorry. So, I was very scared for and being an working mom, you always worry कि तुम घर पे नहीं हो तो क्या चलता है, तुम्हें पता नहीं चलता है यार, is somebody, or you don't spend day in and day out with your children, and they are most of the time left on their own. Are they able to understand and handle these stuff? So I think there was a phase in my maybe 10, 15 years back when the kids were 15, 18 years. Mobiles were slowly becoming an in thing, and they were going to be a regular part of our lives. I worried. I worried a lot for them. While they were not allowed mobiles in their schools, in their college, we just had to, give it to them, in fact, and we had to make doubly sure that it was used for the right point. So you're right. Did I have these conversations with them? Yes, I did. I did, saying that don't get so engrossed in it. make sure that you know where to use it or whatever, and it is used only to make sure that we can give you a call. And the other part of that was also, because you knew you had a phone number of your children, you were like, cow, 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 and then the kids started getting irritated because they kept on saying that, mom, chill, I'm there, I'm coming, I'm 15 minutes, acha 20 minute ho gaye, tu nahi pahuncha, so that happened. So there was a
And
lot of irritation on that part. And the other part was, while I got very excited with, say, a Facebook, and a lot of my generation actually started putting up videos and pictures of bachon ke bachpan ka and telling them happy birthday when they're 10 years old and 12 years old. um, my son actually came back to me one day, and he was very angry that I had put a collage of photos as a video. And I put it on the Facebook saying that to my dear son, who is now today a teenager or whatever. And he came back very angry one day, and he said that you have to remove that video right away. And how dare you put it on without taking my permission or asking me? So I said, yeah, I'm your mom, and I have all those pictures, and I've seen you grow up. So it was my way of doing a kind of you know
celebration.
yeah, to kind of show the world that how my son has grown from zero to a 13 or 14-year-old teenager or whatever. It had some pictures of him being a little quirky. Okay, so there was one stage जहाँ पे वो बेचारा बचपन में जब 3-4 साल का था, हमने उसके बाल काटे नहीं थे, और मैंने बस बड़े मस्ती मजाक में उसके 2 पोनीटेल बनाए थे, in fact. And he looked so cute in that. And I thought that was a part. Now, some of his friends actually picked on that picture, and they said, very girlish stuff and those kind of things. And it never struck me. I was like, यार, हमारे जमाने में हमको मुंडन करते थे, and हमको शॉर्ट्स और चड्डी में बिठा देते, पता भी नहीं चलता था तुम लड़की हो. And nobody ever pointed it out, and everybody thought it was a ritual, so you didn't. So it just got me surprised that at a 13, 14-year-old kids are actually doing this whole dissection of whether if you're a boy, how did you get dressed up as a girl, why did your mom put you up on a female dress, do choti kyun bandi tumhari, and all of that. And I then realized, and he was hurt, and I got scared because I thought, oh my god, mera bacha abhi depression mein jayega and all of that stuff. So I kept a watch over him, in fact, non-stop for the next 1 week, amending a lot of things on the way, saying that, are you okay? And, doing something extra for him in that week to just make sure that, he gets out of the hurt. And then I realized, yeah, this was a technology which I thought I was being a cool dude by making a film, but I actually backfired on me because his friends actually picked it up and they started teasing him about it.
Yeah. And also one of the other aspects that I was taught by my kid was, well, personal photos need not have to be put up on your social accounts. मैंने मैंने वो मेरा लुकआउट है, मैं मेरे फ्रेंड्स के साथ शेयर करती हूँ, बिकॉज दैट इज समथिंग आई टॉट हर.
Yeah.
So I told her, she was kind enough to agree not to get on Insta while she had to wait a year because all her friends lied to Insta that they were 13 and they got up on it.
Ah.
I told her no. So she
Oh,
asked why. I said, look, there is a lifetime of all this, and now this technology is not going away too soon, and it is really you will not understand it.
correct.
Allow yourself this year, then you will know. So she agreed with me. तो उसके बाद she's opened a private account which I have no private मतलब I have no idea what happens there.
Yeah.
There is one account where we can share all these reels and all with each other, which I'm
No, I'm
aware
sure.
and it's fine.
Yeah. Our kids would have an Instagram. My children don't have Facebook, that much I know for sure. But I'm sure they barred me. I'm sure I'm not allowed to have access to their IG or whatever.
Obviously, and Facebook by itself is now on its way out. It is only for
Yeah.
people like us who are on the verge of retirement in some years, and we will just keep looking back and say, अरे ये बहुत अच्छा पोस्ट था और ये था. Facebook is gone. माने वो तो आएंगे ही नहीं. माने
Yeah, that's
even a 30-year-old can perhaps say कि मैं तो नहीं हूँ. माने what Facebook?
yeah,
It's
correct.
no longer their media. In fact, Instagram also, my understanding as a media professional is that will be on its way out because all of us are on Insta. So kids don't
Mm,
want to be on a medium that you are there. They want
yeah,
their own
right.
space and everything. Al filhal, though it is another Facebook for some time, for a couple of years it will go on.
Yeah, and I
Until
think
some,
he also has got a lot of business happening on that. So maybe to that extent, it's made sure it is relevant. So yeah, it will hang
possibly.
on. Yeah.
Let's see that. Uh, do you see in terms of management, is there really a demarcation that males or females make better managers? Is there really a demarcation, or is that a myth?
It's definitely not a myth, Bunty. I'd be lying myself if I said that there is no demarcation at all, whether you are a male or a female. There is definitely. Otherwise, you would have seen an equal number of CEOs who are women, or top CXO level who has 50-50% male and female, or men and women, in fact, at the top management level. And I'm specifically talking about top management because at the bottom there might be more girls or more women who are joining into the workforce, but somewhere as that the triangle starts tapering at the top, you will see for every 95 men there is 5 women or whatever, and that one woman who breaks genuinely the ceiling and actually becomes a CEO or CXO will be hardly 1% or 0.1% of the total workforce. So yes, there is a gender demarcation that comes with it. I also feel that even today, if you had two candidates, okay, one a man and a woman, okay, and they came to you for a middle level management job, and somebody said, hey, this man na ye aadmi do bachon ka baap hai, versus you tell the woman, look at the woman and say, hey, ye ladki hai na, ye aurat hai na, do bachon ki maa hai. Okay, the immediate, I think sometimes the first instinct is, oh, she's going to be burdened with a lot of family issues and family time. This man has 2 kids. He's a rock solid guy. He's pretty settled in life, and he probably now is looking at making his family happier, and therefore he would require this job far more critically. And that unfortunately is the truth of life. However much HR and people would want to say that no, these demarcations and gender biases don't come into the picture. No, I still believe, unless somebody actually gives it to me in writing saying that स्टैम्प मार के देगा उस कंपनी का, बोलेगा कि हम ऐसे नहीं करते, क्योंकि आई नो बैक ऑफ द माइंड्स, बैक ऑफ द हेड, ये एक सवाल आता ही है उनके मन में.
You said stamp मार के देगा, not stamp मार के देगी. That itself is a telling statement.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh shit, yeah.
मैंने क्योंकि जो देगा वो तो सीईओ ही होगा ना.
Yeah, yeah,
Because only
absolutely.
he can decide at that level that we are going to have this policy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Even if they have that policy, sometimes they look at the work profile, and if it is probably innately HR driven, or is it something at the back end, or if it is something which is in the office, then they say, "ठीक है, we can still look at, and we have an agenda to have 25% workforce as women, so let's keep him, or and we'll take a shot with it." But even if there is a little chance of it being a little bit of an aggressive job like a sales or marketing, or where it requires a lot of traveling or whatever, they would think twice before giving that job to a woman, I think. My question is, are women bold enough to take up that job and say, no, I'll prove you wrong? No, that's another question.
I also have a counter question, not to the question that you asked. Uh, I don't think it's about boldness. It actually boils down to practicality because a woman is more responsible, if I were to use the term, in terms of at least keeping two things together. Uh,
Hmm.
Males have the innate understanding that if I do the family job wrong inside a home, मैं खाना बाहर से मंगा लिया यार, आज नहीं बनाया था, सॉरी टाइम नहीं था, तो it works a lot more. Although the world is changing, मतलब these demarcations are from our generation perspective. I'm very unsure where the next generation is going because it's equally bad for both. Finding a responsible person has become a job.
Yeah,
Male or
that's right.
female does not matter.
The next generation has got it smarter, because there are this bunch of people who are actually saying that if I don't get a spouse, and it doesn't matter if it's a husband or a wife, if I don't get a spouse who's equally agreeing to take on the responsibility, I
Hmm.
don't want to get married. Okay, that is what I'm hearing, in fact, because most of my now, colleagues, all of us who are in 50s, have children who are in their 20s and 23 and 25s and all of that. So they're all in the stage where they're thinking, yeah, iski shadi ab karwani, nahi karwani, and very clearly they're hearing from the children. If it is a son, he's actually saying that I need a wife who's equally agreeing to go out there and earn a living, and then both of us can have look for a slightly happy life, versus a woman who turns back and says, hey, I can go to work, but then I need a husband who's agreeing to do the jhadu pochi once in a while, take care of the kid while I may have a meeting or whatever of that sort. Now, um is there a mid path that only two individuals can think about it and discuss?
We will need to make Google kind of companies where your entire family is shifted inside the office.
Yeah, and then you might as well find somebody from Google itself and
Uh,
look at for the same workplace kind of a thing, in fact.
yeah. Um, so one last question of sorts, but from this answer itself, relations are non-capitalistic, if I were to use a term.
Hmm.
You make a relation because it's a softer, easier social way of bonding, which makes you human in a way. And with women taking on these roles that you very use the term bold, they are a lot of them are now taking it up, and a lot more is happening. While that is very good, the social structure is changing faster than any of us can put our hand on that pulse and say this is what is actually happening. It's very easy to say कि they shouldn't go to work and घर ही संभाले तो अरे बहुत normal हो जाएगा, because that's what the status quo prefers कि यार आराम से ही चलने दो, क्यों why rock the boat when there's nothing wrong, we are doing everything fine. But abhi you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's
Right.
out, and uh, rightly or wrongly, because I say this again, it's very individualistic. There are people who actually want to stay at home, males or females. These days, that is also a growing tendency that people may want to do this. How do you see relations surviving this uh, tumultuous and very difficult time where there is no definition anymore? And if you
Hmm.
put down a definition, even if it is individualistic, there was some movie, I think, Ki or Kaha or something, where I haven't seen the movie because it seemed like a not a very great movie. But the concept was that the male decides to sit at home and the female decides to go and work and something like that. I'm saying then the male has to deal with the other females in the society, for example, where you are whatever you're discussing vegetable rates and भाई आए कि नहीं and माइक्रोवेव को ऐसा ठीक किया तो होता है या नहीं होता है whatever.
Hmm.
How do you see relations evolving in this current time? And as a woman, do you feel excited, nervous, unsure, confident, or all of them, and why?
Wow. This actually requires a generation change, Bunty. Our times are gone, okay, and abhi agar both my husband and I both get into the kitchen and he's cutting and giving me the onions while I'm making something else or whatever, it is absolutely perfect and normal. um,
Yeah,
I think what you're asking for, kids who have probably gone abroad, and the reason I'm saying that is because they are, and by abroad I don't mean out of India, kids who have actually left homes and have either gone somewhere out of their hometown to study or work, or who have gone abroad and who are studying and looking for a job there or whatever, have overall figured out that they how to be independent and how to manage on their own, or how to come together and work together and manage it. So say for example, अगर आप understanding that you will make sure that किसी का turn है to cook food उस दिन, या if you're not cooking then it is your responsibility to get food at home and all of that stuff. So I think somewhere that understanding is come in people, that it is normal to either of the couple to be at home. So at least in the way I am seeing the scenario around, I see a lot of people who are planning to freelance and sit at home and either write films or do their own thing. Or there are a lot of boys who are becoming bakers and probably doing a lot of selling as homegrown brands or whatever of that sort, and they're absolutely comfortable. Their wives are working. So my understanding is, if there is one regular source of income coming, the other person can actually experiment with his or her career. Okay, because then the pressure is not so much, in fact, on earning and living and all of that stuff. But that understanding has to be between both of them. That if that understanding is not there, then believe me, it is a sure shot route for disaster, and that doesn't and that might create issues in terms of maybe the relationship won't survive. Parents and in-laws get involved, it becomes a little murky, and eventually it calls for a split. So that answer can only come from each individual who's actually having that relationship. I find it extremely okay. My son cooks very good food. In fact, he's staying out of India, and he's one guy I was surprised, in fact, who was relatively very casual in his life. But the moment he stepped out of home, he realized that he had to, once in a week, is his responsibility to clean the bathroom and the toilet. He asked me what all is required to do it. He went and bought it and he did it on his own. Because उसका वो responsibility था, वो पीजी में था, तो उसको वो करना था. तो तुम ये नहीं बोल सकते कि बॉस मैंने घर पे कभी किया नहीं है. And in the same tone, he told me there are a lot of boys who came from a very well-to-do family. उनके दो दो तीन तीन और नौकर घर पे थे. They didn't even have to take a glass of water, and they were doing that in Canada because they were very clear they wanted to make it happen for themselves there, and they had to live there. तो उनके पास और कोई चारा नहीं था. So when push comes to a shove and they are pushed to a corner and they can't do anything, they will do anything to survive. But if you're telling me that if you had an option and people want to take the easy life, then I think it's their individual prerogative. There is nothing we can do or say which will say कि कल से सारे बच्चे will be 50-50 equal. ऐसा कभी नहीं होने वाला है.
Wonderful. But what I take from your answer is something else. I take from your answer that responsibility is not sex oriented. It's not male or female.
Yeah,
Anybody
yeah,
who wants to take responsibility for their lives and uh, be what they are supposed to be, what the situation demands them to be, then they'll be happier. And if
yeah.
they are happier, perhaps the relations will survive because they'll find a median way of going about it. Alternatively, like you said, if you've decided to be lazy and irresponsible, then it doesn't, neither being a female or a male would save you from disasters. Uh,
I
hence,
have had some of these women friends of mine who have actually not colleagues but women friends of mine who have actually made a statement something like, you know, अरे मुझे शादी करवा के लाया है तो it is his responsibility to take care of me. And I was shocked because maybe for me, I came from a background where, you know, I had brothers and sisters, and we were all very clearly given jobs at home. You know, my mother was a working woman, dad was working. So, you know, when they went out, मेरा भाई को झाड़ू करना झाड़ू पोछा करने का काम था. I had to cut and keep the veggies ready. My sister had to wash all the dishes and keep it. And you know, we never questioned हमारी mom से क्यों ये child labor करवा रही है. It never struck us, in fact. हमको लगा था अरे मम्मी बेचारी 7 साढ़े 7 बजे आएगी, वेजिटेबल्स काटा है, कपड़े धुले फुले हैं, झाड़ू पोछी करके रखा है, she'll get into the next job. We didn't know how to cook, so all we could do was, you know, we could ask her what needs to be done and she would tell us in the morning. वो हम शाम को करते थे, तो एंड फ्रिज में रख देते थे ताकि वो आके कुक कर सकती थी. हमको वो पता नहीं था कैसे करना था. So I don't think we never questioned. Or for my matter, my husband comes from a family who are 3 boys, and my mom-in-law was also working and my father-in-law was also working, and they were very clear. The boys had clear cut demarcation. My husband's job was to wash clothes, so washing machine में कपड़े धोना उनका काम था. And you won't believe, आज भी मेरे घर में he is the one who decides कपड़े कब कैसे कैसे, right from a bedsheet to a curtain to the regular stuff, वो ही धोता है. It is his passion. He's been ingrained in it from childhood. His brothers had to wash the dishes. Another brother had to actually cook. So his elder brother is a brilliant chef and a cook. He knew his mom is going to come tired, so he made sure that there was something cooked for them in the evening. And I think you know, households have these kind of people. So therefore, I'm not shocked or surprised when my children go and cook. Yeah, they buy stuff. They manage. That is the end thing. They manage whatever has to be done. I don't have to go after them saying, "Beta, उठ 7 बज गए, तेरे को अभी college जाना है, school जाना है." I didn't have to do all that. So touch wood, maybe I kind of trained them from childhood because we had all been ingrained in it from childhood. But yeah, that doesn't mean. But yeah, there is the other extreme. It now says कि boss हमने ये सब कर लिया, अभी हमको नहीं करना है. We are very happy like this as singles, and you know, we will think when we have to take on the responsibility.
well, you don't
Maybe
win them all.
yeah. So one will not fit everyone. Yeah.
Yes, and thank you for the wonderful chat, obviously, and your last answer specifically because that was a great example of owning up to responsibility and almost kind of clarifying what I was trying to say with a real life
Oh,
example.
okay.
And it's been a great chat, and I'm so lucky to have friends who are so sorted, who have so many ideas about the nuances it takes to make a responsible life, uh, a value based life, if I were to call it. Because it's so easy to let go of difficult things to do. It's not easy to come back after work and start cooking unless there is love at the back of it or some kind of deep respect for your own self and the family that you have. And that again translates back into the world, because I have also have this very strong opinion that who you are will also go back out in the world. Either you will make a mess of the world or you will make it a better place, depending upon what kind of person you are. So
That's true.
at home, if you are a lousy person, then there is no way you are going to be a brilliant guy out there. And
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times that is right. You have to have some kind of discipline, some kind of connectivity between both your professional and personal life. Uh, Thank you for being a proud woman.
And thank you
And
so much. It's been my maiden, podcast, if I can call it. I don't know if I give you a lot of wrong answers versus the right answers, or I don't know if there are no answers or right or whatever. But thank you so much for having me on board. Yeah, I'm really grateful for this
yes,
opportunity.
it's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
I'll see you around.
Bye.
Bye.